Good day, everyone. All right, let me get the link shared out here. Oh, we'll get started. Can you believe it? Here we are, maybe taking all of these lows. Good morning, good morning. I know I probably did just curse the move here. There's something to consider. Oh, my computer's so laggy. I need to figure out why the live stream is doing this. All right, I'll just kind of give a brief perspective on how I'm looking to trade this because it can come and go pretty quick, get stopped out pretty quick. As some of you know, I've had this idea for a while of coming down and taking all of these lows up until this last pivot low on 85K. We maybe had a little local GP here on 83K, and we have this potential trending move here. One of the things about this idea was we got into a point where there was a little section of the chart where price could run cleanly into this trend line and still take all these lows. But the further in time price progressed, the faster that move has to come down. And we're basically at the very last several hours where we can take this low into a clean wick into this trend line. There's some similarities to this move. This was another level I was watching at the time. Now, what I want to say is, if this level goes, it gets pretty messy. Like, maybe we can run through it a little bit, but if this level goes, it opens up so many scenarios. Like, we're going down to 70K, 66K, we're taking this pivot low, or this region, we're spending a lot of time down here. So anyways, I'm open to trading the quick move, the kind of this sort of scenario where you get the V-shaped type reactions off of a level. The quick move into this trend line, I'm using risk management though, okay? So I'm going to have to hard stop this trade. Say we do this, we start wicking up, and then we just start coming straight down. Even though there's a lot of scenarios where we bounce, I am not willing to sit in that trade because as much as people think it's impossible, I don't think it's likely, but I still think it's possible. This can happen, and we can be trading at 50K and sooner than you think. And so, you know, for example, you put on way too much risks thinking this is the opportunity of a lifetime. You don't run a stop. You're leveraged into this move, and you think this is impossible. This is not impossible. There's no reason to get wiped out by a move like this. And otherwise, you could have just stopped out when this range is just breaking down, and you could have just re-entered a long Pico bottom at 50K. Okay, so anyways, to me, this is a great opportunity to put on some risk depending on what happens here. Of course, we could just rip straight through the level, but I think it's unlikely. I think there's going to be some reaction even if the trade's not going to work. And of course, we could just take this low and this doesn't even come at all. But this is what I'm waiting for. Okay, so anyways, I just actually want to go to I'm going to talk about a couple alts as well. I'm giving you the premise of what I'm trading here. Just a little bit of an intersection with the maybe this channel into this level. if you were watching a couple live streams ago, you'll know that I talked about this idea then, and I took this long, which we ended up, I mean, the whole thesis for this long ended up playing out really nice and looking really clean for a little bit of time. And I was willing to trade towards that. But I essentially said, I don't like this long. I think, by the way, I'm not blaming somebody else. I'm just saying the idea for this long, I probably wouldn't have been trading it if the idea wasn't coming from X-Force Global. I think it looked good. I still think it looked good. I think it was worthwhile to trade. But, I said at the time, to me, it just looks almost ridiculous to have another move up to the upside without taking all of these lows. That looks so much cleaner. It looks so much cleaner to just come run all these lows, and then if we're going to get another move to the upside, grab all those lows. So anyways, that's kind of this is the idea I've been most interested in for swing longs. Not to say I wasn't willing to put on any risk anywhere else. But anyways, this is a while ago. I've talked about this idea a lot in the Discord and on Twitter. This is a few weeks ago. But same idea, right? Just coming in, the line was purple here. Coming in, taking all these lows into this region of the chart at the time. Maybe some kind of parallel structure into the level. But anyways, so here we are. I'm live. The thing about this is, people are probably going to be asking me, like, no matter what happens, they're going to be asking something like, what was your trigger for that trade? Price just went straight down and straight up, or there was no like, wait for a 4-hour close above or something like that. You just took the trade, and it's going to seem like a great trade if it works and a stupid trade if it doesn't, because if you take the trade and it works and you V-shape recovery, it looks like, whoa, how'd you know it was going to do that? And then if you take the trade and it doesn't work, it's going to look like, why would you take that? Because you should have waited for, a one-day close or whatever, or for a reclaim of X, Y, Z. But the truth is, with these types of potential levels, price just goes straight down and straight up, straight down and straight up. There's no straight down, straight up. It's like this kind of move, right? You're basically in the trade. This was taking all these lows. You're basically in the trade or you're not. And price is recovering. And for me, this is one of those levels that I'm willing to trade a fast move into this. I mean, honestly, the faster it's moving into that level, the better. The more volatile that move is, and just tag that level and start coming back up, I'm entering. And I'm just using risk management. I would rather that level come like this. I'd rather it come straight down if I'm going to be entering it aggressively. I'd rather it look as scary as possible. But anyways, we get into the lower time frames. Maybe you get a little bit of volatility. Why isn't my invalidation directly below the trend line? I mean, you could definitely try to run this tighter, right? You could just say, hey, I'm playing this, like, any bounce off of this as its own trade. If I get this, we tag this last low, I'm running a tight stop. But just be wary that there's a lot of scenarios where you get this, and if you want, I mean, there's a logic to playing both, right? I don't think I have to go over all of that, right? Like playing it as multiple tight setups, why that could be more efficient, even if you end up taking several stops. I think you guys understand that. I've talked about that before. This is the general idea. It gets messy in here, there's no doubt. I mean, in my view, as soon as this gets lost, it's kind of over. Even on a bounce, it's over for the bullish ideas out of here, out of a higher low. Even if you get a bounce off of another higher low, you go from the context of this being a range and an impulse up out of the range to this even, right? Like this just, it all looks a lot more bearish. But in this case, it was just a direct breakdown. Okay, I haven't read any of the comments yet. I do want to look at a couple alts as well. First one, Vad just says bear market started ? In my opinion, no, but no one knows. I mean, it's just a long setup, right? It's pretty simple to say that if we lose the range here and price just breaks down, I mean, there's no structure here. You got to start looking for a sign of strength would be price starting to reclaim this. But again, I think there's maybe like one idea here, which is it was my initial expanded target for this move back down to this point of control, this GP. I would say there's kind of two levels more or less that look enticing, and on log scale here, it'd just be our log scale GP, this point of control, and this golden trend line. So on log scale, we've kind of broken down all the trending structure, and if we just nuke down into this level, down to this pivot, this is another level I'd be interested in trading aggressively. 67K. If we break that down, I unironically think 50K is probably coming, but for me, they're just trade setups. You know, this might sound kind of like it's not the answer you want, but anyone who's just talking in terms of, is it a bear market started? Why put yourself in a situation where that's how you're managing all your positions, right? Like no one knows if a bear market's going to start or if it's not going to start. You have structure, you have levels, you have strength, you have weakness. It would look really bad if we start breaking all of this down. You kind of have something in here that with some bullish ideas. If we start breaking this down, it would look really bad. But by the time it's like, oh yeah, fuck, nothing's holding, we're in a bear market. If you're sitting in a ton of positions and alts and you bought everything at the top and you're deep underwater and you're just hoping for a bounce, by the time it's clear, it's over, right? So, yeah. Personally, I prefer to just have trade setups. And if this trade is working, I keep it. If it's not, I cut it and reassess and look for something else. Okay. A couple people asking what time zone I'm in. Do I live in Europe? I'm kind of all over the place. North America, Europe. It depends on the day. There's some American Eagle in my voice for sure. Someone asking if the stream's laggy. Two guys saying, so the 48 million guy short was right, 48 million short guy was right. Yeah, well, kudos to him, because he held, it's actually was like $100 million short. Maybe he's the guy that hacked the exchange. He said, I'm putting on this big position because I'm about to hack Bybit. But kudos to him. He held through a pretty scary looking drawdown. opened a lot of these shorts here and held through this whole rally back up to 100K. No evidence of him closing that position. And now he's printing. So I'm going to look at a couple alts here. The reality is when or if these levels start coming into play, I'm going to be focused on executing some trades. And I'm not necessarily going to be able to explain everything I'm doing. I think there's some things worth considering here on Doge. Big structure getting lost. There's sort of a similar idea here in terms of a shallow trend line. But essentially, wherever alts are, if you get the V-shaped recovery type scenario on Bitcoin, alts are essentially likely just to bounce with Bitcoin. They might make lower lows. If Bitcoin's going to V-shape bounce, alts are going to. It's just the degree to which they do. Some of these alts holding up compared to their wicks, relatively strong. Like, we can imagine scenarios where we get this last move down on Bitcoin. ETH is just kind of retesting the lows of its wick. What do I think of Sol? I shared my thoughts either last live stream or the live stream before. Where is the chart where I charted my thoughts? Did the analysis all just get deleted? Sometimes that happens. It's a little bit annoying. Okay, well, I can recreate it pretty quickly. I'm just going to do the horizontal levels to kind of know what's there. During that live stream a few days ago, I just said, this all looks pretty shitty on Sol, but I wouldn't be interested in anything but taking these lows, but probably these lows at $80. And that's pretty much the only long I'd be interested in, or longs I'd be interested in. Yeah, it's like something happened here where the analysis on my charts got deleted, and potentially some alerts. Okay, I'm just going to answer this question really quickly. I want to keep an eye on order flow here as well. I'm actually going to pull it up on the stream. Okay, yeah, so Vadja, you're saying, would you buy Sol spot at any level, just $80? So just the important thing to note here is I don't look at spot as an excuse not to set up any kind of risk management. So I'm only gonna go. This might not. I might be reading too much into your question, but it's only because you asked the is it a bear market question. They kind of go hand in hand. You know what people use spot as a shorthand for. Insane, by the way. All of my analysis is deleted on everything. Like what the timing for this? It's kind of funny. But generally I know what I'm looking for. Thank you, TradingView. Anyways. Because the questions kind of go hand in hand, is people use SOL as a shorthand. Spot as a shorthand for, like, is it safe to just buy it and hold it and I'm gonna end up winning? Like, there's not really, like, it could maybe go a little lower but it's going to recover. I don't like to view anything like that because depending on how that's applied, like let's just go to SOL really quickly. You know, for all we know, we're kind of here, right? Or we're here if we're going to use an analog to SOL. And if you think that SOL can't just do this, and then 5 years from now it's just trading sideways at $5, then you're not really understanding probably the extent to which there's risk in this market. And so, for example, like, if somebody says, oh yeah, you know, so you could spot buy at 100 and, you know, you're targeting 500 and it should be a good buy. If you then take your life savings and go all in on SOL and, you know, on spot, and then that happens and we're back at the lows and 5 years from now you're down 95%, you know, people say, well, you haven't lost money because you haven't sold. Well, you tell me if you feel like you've lost money if 5 years from now we're trading sideways at $5. So anyways, like I get this question a lot, and people will say, you know, I'm not really a trader. What's a good, where can I just buy XYZ coin, Pepe, spot? Oftentimes it's altcoins, and they're really there's certainly higher probability places to buy spot with the plan of holding, but there's never a way to mitigate all of the risk, right? So just keep that in mind. Personally, I prefer just to, whether it's spot or it's not spot, to have invalidation and appropriate sizing for the trade. Doesn't have to be a hard stop invalidation, by the way, but because I don't know you, Vadya, but like, how much of a, like, just think of it for a second. Just a random person asking, would you buy SOL spot at any level, just $80? You know, are we in a bear market? Like, my answer, it's like, so it's like it would be a shitty move for me to answer that any other way, but my answer is, I don't know what's going to happen, right? You have to understand the risk in your trade, and you should mitigate it. But yeah, so things can get kind of messy in here. We have a lot of lows to sweep, but probably the only trade that I'm that interested in entering aggressively is taking all the lows. Everything else, I would just wait for some structure to form. Yeah, so guy just says I would wait for bullish market structure, but I am just overall disappointed with the market. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the market's designed to be disappointing you on any given day, on any given time frame. It's either going the opposite direction, or it's not going in the right direction as fast as you would like it to, or as much as you would like it to. And it's why people would even end up capitulating trades like let's just say you bought Doge spot somewhere in here in 10 cents, 9 cents, but then month after month after month after month, and it's just like disappointed. You see all this other stuff pumping, even if you're just around break even, disappointed with Doge, you go into something else that's been pumping a lot, that thing's going down, then Doge is going straight up. Like, these are all the kinds of things that you're dealing with in the market. There's always something better happening somewhere else. Yeah, as far as order flow, it shouldn't be any surprise that there's just massive liquidations and longs being stopped out. I mean, 90 million, 109 million, 76 million, 102 million, all decreasing open interest, 55 million. It's a big closure here. 95 million. A little bit of shorting here. I'm actually kind of curious, does this... New York opens right around here. I'm not saying what is going to happen, but the type of thing that often happens, if we do just get this choppier move down, is tons of longs are getting stopped out. Some of these lows are getting taken. So what happens, just think about what you're doing. If you're in a position and price is dumping and you take a stop loss or you close your trade and then you start seeing price bounce, a lot of people are going to say, oh shit, I just got stopped at the bottom and I'm going to re-enter. And now just magnify that by the fact that we've been in a really extended multi-month range, and there's a bunch of people in that position right now, especially taking a major low like this one. And so anyways, what can happen is people get stopped out, start chasing in, and limit sellers kind of shut them down, trap them again, they get run out, and then you start having this type of price action. I'm not saying we can't bounce from here, but I'm not that interested in chasing that move in aggressively. XRP's tapping an important level, taking some major lows, potentially a reclaim here, but it's hard to say. It's kind of a similar situation as Bitcoin. Someone asking, what price would you look to long as confirmation if we bounced here? I probably am not looking at a price. I'm just looking at structure, and I would assess at the New York Open what's happening. I mean, if we V-shaped here, I'm probably sidelined until some bullish market structure forms. Just looking for something. When was sorry guys, I'm just looking for something. I sort of I have a few things I want to catch up on too. Just got live just to kind of explain what I'm looking at. I'll let you guys actually watch order flow here. See if anything interesting happens. I'm just scanning through a couple things because all of my trading view charts got deleted. At least on alts. I'm not sure why. Okay, I'm gonna sorry for the pause here. I wanted to give this example, but I just had to find it. Somebody asked in the chat, they said, why no shorts on Bitcoin? I don't know if they're referring to why no shorts right now or why no shorts. I think they said on this move down. I actually lost the question. I actually had mini shorts. If you go into mini short ideas, but if you go into the Bitcoin public updates channel, this is all one day, right? I gave my whole thesis, and I said I think my thesis for 85K as we were ranging here. But anyways, I said I think the simplest way to approach an idea is something like this. So I'll be taking both of these trades separate from all of my other trades. And that was the short setup that I thought played the cleanest into this type of idea. And obviously, we actually never ended up taking that high. We just ended up ranging for a really long time. But yeah, this range is this. You know, I think for it's kind of interesting. Like right here, this low getting tagged and this, both on Bitcoin and on right. I mean, I guess the hack happened like right here. Everything looked. For those scenarios, they were not my primary scenarios. They weren't the scenarios I liked the most. But everything that happened from the target of the lows on that scenario, it was like a perfect outcome for that scenario up until everything just rejected. It was kind of interesting. Like everything was doing exactly what you would expect it to do up until that moment. But generally speaking, from since the highs on Bitcoin, I was playing shorts on alts. My shorts I was trying to play on alts and not on Bitcoin. I mean, obviously, the idea there was that if we get a lot of weakness on alts, or on Bitcoin, there's a lot of alts that look like they have a ways to go. This is kind of an important idea, taking this low on Pepe as well. See what happens there. But I'm going to have to go through a bunch of... I'm going to have to use my Discord like I'm a member and just skim through some alt charts. So all of my analysis is gone. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm probably just waiting for lower on Bitcoin, which means waiting for lower on uh, alts, or I'm waiting for more strength, shift in market structure, maybe price to get past this little intersection here. And yeah, it's just not my primary thesis to try to catch the low of this trade. Someone said ETH didn't give me a single relief the last 4 years. Hey, we had a nice little rally. Just was disappointing compared to everything else. Well, it just depends on the context. Someone says, could you please show where you flipped bearish on alts? Which structure break was it? I mean, it depends what alts you're talking about. I'm actually not really bearish on alts. I longed Doge up here many times. I didn't take profits because I got bearish, and I didn't take profits on a structure break. I took profits at 42 cents on this impulse, and I'm still not bearish on Doge. I'm still looking for swing longs, some of which I got stopped out of. But same with XRP. I took many tight long setups into here, got out of these beautifully for the context of the swing trade. Not the Pico top. We ended up pushing up to 49 cents. And looking for some corrective structure to form, and I'm expecting another leg up. But so I guess I would say that I'm taking profits up here, not because of major targets hit, not because I'm bearish, but because I'm looking for some kind of correction, but I'm still leaning towards higher more likely. But I would just like to reassess, restructure my long setups. There's actually a clean short set up here on XRP. As well. Give me a second. I mean, no matter what, um, I am keeping an eye on XRP here. I'll just say a few things. So, I am keeping an eye on XRP because let me I made a joke about revenge trading XRP. Because this was an idea up at the highs on XRP. Just this idea of rejecting into this trending structure. We had a major GP. We come and tag these highs. What I explained here is that I was joking because I was trading with a tight stop on the Blowfin account. But just joking that I was revenge trading. But anyways, the point is, I just said for sizing, the stop should probably be above this GP for appropriate sizing, because there's so many scenarios where you just push up a little higher and then reject. You could look at this as a range as well. TP at the range lows, but anyways, I am interested in XRP here because this idea that we're kind of playing out right now, frankly. Still haven't reclaimed this level. Looks kind of clean. But I think to answer your question, maybe this is a good example. You're not really taking a short here because you're flipping bearish on XRP or alts or whatever it is. It's just clean structure to short around. Like come tag these highs, GP. There's kind of maybe some Elliott wave ideas in there. I don't think the best way to describe how I view, well, actually that's not really true. Sometimes that bias does creep in, but what I try not to do is make the overriding theme of like, are we in a bear market or are we in a bull market? You know, where do I flip really bearish on alts as the reason I take every trade I take. More just looking at structure on price and is price breaking out or breaking down. Yeah, like for me, it's kind of funny to explain it because I'm super bullish on Bitcoin here. I really want to take this trade, but I'm really bearish if that happens until something else happens, right? Like I'm really bullish in the sense that I want to long the range low. I want to take this long setup. But I'm okay with it not working, and it has nothing to do with anything other than the structure of price. I want to long these lows, and I want to cut that long if it's not working. And the same thing could be shorts. Like you want to take a short, but you want to cut that short if that structure starts breaking. No, I'm not. I'm not playing. I'm not playing this low. I guess I already answered this, but I'm not playing this low as an aggressive entry. I'm not saying we can't bounce here, but I'm not wanting to catch this here. This would probably be the standard fare type move. Come up and take this local high on the 4-hour SR flip. This. Get the bearish SR retest. Take some local highs. Probably something like what the bear scenario might look like there. Citizen says, that's what I love about you. You don't disregard any thesis and prepare for all scenarios. Yeah, I mean, in some sense, you're disregarding some theses because they're not worth thinking about because price is so far away from those levels. Like taking these 50K lows, you're not really thinking about it as like, I'm not getting on a live stream every day and saying like, okay, so I'm looking for price to come down to 50K, and then but you might be thinking about it in terms of your, like, why it's the same reason why people don't use a stop loss, right? Like say you go all in here on 2x leverage or 3x leverage and you don't use a stop loss, and you're thinking, well, I don't even have to think about getting liquidated here. I mean, it's not going to happen. But I might be thinking about that as, like, that's why I cut my trades, right? Because I'm thinking, although it's not my primary thesis, it's not the thing that I'm looking to trade around and move down to 50K, I'm certainly not going to disregard it in sense of the risk of if price went down there, right? I think a lot of people, and you're going to get away with it, of course. A lot of times you're going to get away with it, but it just takes one time. And if you do it every day for 3 years, you're certainly going to get caught that one time a lot quicker than 3 years for most people. Maybe not on Bitcoin, but depending on how you're trading it. I'll be honest, ABD, it's very unlikely. You can, it says, hey bro, I'm trying to reach out for business. Is there any way to have a chat with you, please? I honestly feel bad looking at some of my DMs. I just realized some that I missed, and some of them are people I actually know, and anyways, it's very unlikely I'm gonna be interested or even read your message. I have a lot of people reaching out for me to me for stuff like that all the time. Just not really interested. But you can send me a DM. I'm just not really promising that I can almost promise you I won't be interested. But who knows? Someone said, is there a trend line? There's a trend line that aligns with 72 JP. Is that valid to consider? I mean, yeah, I already actually talked about that. Looks a little cleaner on log, maybe. It's just really taking this low for me. I'd say like the horizontal levels are what's really important there for me. Take the impulse low, the point of control, the GP of the move. I mean, there's a sense where it's like you look at this and you're like, man, it almost makes more sense to do this. It almost makes more sense than just tagging these lows. But that said, I'm probably 0% chance I'm not going to be in that trade unless price just literally blows straight through it, which could actually happen if we it's like this. Sometimes that happens, right? You're waiting for the level, and then that just happens. Here we go. I guess I'm not taking that long. This was a long setup I was interested in on Pepe. It's really choppy, blocky price action. Run the low. Yeah. Probably play everything off of a higher low. I'm going to play anything at all. So don't mind waiting for the New York Open. I'll be right back, by the way, guys. Sorry. Give me a minute. Analysis for dot, please. There's something kind of funny about this a little bit. It's just what some of these charts, like, what really is there to say, right? I mean, you have these equal lows. Price either does something similar. You know, we've impulsed off them, impulsed off them, impulsed off them. We tag them again, we impulse off them, and it's a range, right? run this whole downtrend, or we break them down, spend some time down here, and maybe run like something like this. Should be that kind of more bearish scenario. Oh, we're going to 0. That's still down like 70%, by the way. Coming to these lows. I mean, to set up trades off this, basically, there's like two ideas that stand out to me. One is just taking the lows, maybe a kind of a deep wick here. Spend a little bit of time down there. There might be some clean local setups, reclaiming, targeting up into the middle, top of the range, or just watching this downtrend, just seeing how price is interacting with it. You could trade with it. If you get like some really tight consolidation on the downtrend, there might be a setup there. Again, it's important to remember, analysis in this context, it's not about predicting where price is going to go. It's about setting up a trade with where price is and saying, what am I going to do when price does this or this? Where and why am I going to get into a trade? Where and why am I going to get out of a trade? You're just looking to set up a trade. Like this trade on Bitcoin, this idea is that, right? Where and why am I getting into a trade? Where and why am I getting out? I'm not trying to predict that price is going to bounce. And then how do you size accordingly to manage your risk appropriately? What do I think of Fartcoin here? I'll be honest, I haven't thought about it. I see something here as on Bitcoin and potentially small tier as a big opportunity. It's either an opportunity to make a lot of money or take a couple stops off of these single positions. So I guess I don't even have Fartcoin, or is it at the bottom maybe? This may come as a shock to you, but there's a good chance Fartcoin's going to be a dead coin. Doesn't mean it's not tradable. Just looking at comparing it to every other coin, that's still the same thing. I actually kind of feel like it is kind of funny. It's like being in Groundhog Day a little bit. Because like every live stream, it's kind of like the same thing. It's like, what about Fartcoin? What about... And you're just kind of explaining that, like, although it's hard not to have your attention drawn to these, because it's like, oh, it was up 2,000%. Now it's back at the lows. If I long it now, it's going to go back up another 2,000%. A lot of times these coins just die. This is like, it's just a big trap, right? And everybody's stuck in this coin forever. They bought spot. They're chilling, and they'll be chilling 5 years from now. Bro, I really actually don't like doing these kind of live streams. Like, the more I think about it, I should just do pure educational live streams. There's just too many people passing by that I have zero confidence they should be trading. But I won't be too judgmental. Someone asks, they say, in Pepe, can we expect Pepe to go up a bit? I don't know. What I would say is you can expect if it goes up and holds this level for these highs to be important. You can expect if it breaks out of those for this whole downtrend to be important, to take a major low. So it's a well-structured trade. So the way I would look at this, the way I would look at trading Pepe here, if I'm long, is the whole thesis of this trade, at least in my view, the most straightforward thesis is we've taken a major pivot low. Volume's not that impressive, at least on this pairing, but we've taken a major pivot low that we had front run before. This was a long idea of mine. You're kind of long on the idea of price running that low and then running it back, right? That's kind of the idea. And you don't take the trade necessarily because you expect that price will do that. You start looking for signs of strength and weakness, but I mean, basically this is the trade setup. Start looking for these, and then start looking for more bullish ideas being something like this. But you're kind of taking the trade for the asymmetry in the trade, which is often, not all the time, but oftentimes, price likes to form reversals around big horizontal levels, run the lows, and then kind of just run it back up. And so, that's why it was one of the major targets for my shorts from up here, just targeting into this impulse low and potentially flipping reverse long. But anyways, you get a lot of asymmetry in the trade of basically, if we just run these lows and then, maybe start forming a range here, I don't have to be so sure that price is going to bounce. I can put on a little bit of risk, and maybe I'm getting 10 to 1, 8 to 1, 20 to 1 on my risk. So even if I'm 20% sure or 20% convinced that price could bounce here, is still, or even if price only bounces 20% of the time, you're still in a profitable situation if you take that trade 100 times. I'm kind of on pause basically until kind of either the New York Open or we get that last move down on Bitcoin. Why is this GP saying it's here? What the? Oh, I got moved. Now, just to add to the Farcoin thing, even if it goes quote unquote to zero or it never recovers, is it tradable? Certainly. I mean, it's this uptrend here, or this downtrend, which is a pretty strong, clean downtrend, by the way. But if price found its way up out of this downtrend and back up to these highs, that's 60% away, right? 30% down. But what I think generally speaking, I could be making a lot of assumptions. People are interested in this type of chart because they're interested in the idea of like buying it and holding it for another 2,000% up or a new all-time high. I would not be interested in this chart in that context. Personally, doesn't mean it can't happen. But like, I'll just say from my experience, if you go around looking for random shit coins that have charts that look like this, and your trading strategy is to find those and like, I guess, swing trade them towards a new all-time high back to, it's not, you're in for a bad time. I don't think it's not that it probably has never happened. It's not even that Altcoin couldn't do that. It's that there's a lot of charts that look like this, and they do not usually end in price going back to all-time highs. But I'm making assumptions on why you're interested. Can I take a look at Jupiter? Is that just Jupe? Let's pull up a KuCoin chart. Looks like it's in a range to me. It's just it's about a year old. This looks actually kind of bad though. In terms of this range breaking down, this kind of grindy, rounded structure. But it's a range. You have literally no other structure to care about. You have these lows, these lows, and then just new all-time lows. But this downtrend kind of looks a little bearish. What is the name of this app with the charts? This is called Trading View. It's probably the more popular charting software, or the most popular. Sort of like I'd say an industry standard. Someone asking, why do you think there's a probability for Doge to reach a new all-time high still? Genuine question. I think there's some really bullish Elliott wave ideas. I mean, I can create a lot of reasons. Like, I could justify a lot of reasons that I think would make sense to a lot of people. But, I mean, it just depends, right? Like, there's going to be people who look at this and say, no, it's just going to zero. But I'll say this much. There's a big difference between this chart and Altcoin, for example, right? Like, this is, let's go. This is Altcoin, and this is Doge. Now, if I was to put on my fundamentals hat, I mean, we've obviously entered into a massive meme cycle, or we entered into one. So we know that there's at least know that there's not a distaste for memes, right? Like meme coins. Like we know the market's not going to outright reject the idea of buying meme coins. And so I would say that it's not hard to imagine the types of fundamental catalysts that would drive Doge towards an all-time high in the context of the more bullish Elliott wave counts. Just to rattle off a couple of those, Elon Musk seems to be a big fan of Doge. He owns one of the biggest social media platforms in the world. He has pretty direct access to the president. If he's ever dropped clues that he's interested in Doge, I wouldn't know, but they did just name an agency after Doge. Or it's not an agency, it's a non-government chainsaw, I guess. But anyways, they've expressed interest in the strategic digital assets reserve, not a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Would I be shocked to see Doge end up in that? The U.S.'s strategic digital assets reserve? No. I think with the connection between Doge and Trump, it's probably very high that Doge ends up in there. Do I think these guys could be playing it, playing that for their own personal benefit? Probably. I would imagine so. But anyways, it's just not hard to imagine a scenario where Doge, like Elon at the very least has, and Trump just launched a meme coin. So do I think that Trump would say, no, we can't have Doge in our strategic digital reserve? I think if Elon suggests he should, probably going to happen. So yeah, I don't know. There's some fundamental reasons. It's not really. The core idea is not fundamental, but if somebody was to ask me, I think they have asked me, if I was to buy and hold any coin for a long time, 5 years, any altcoin, what would it be? And I said I said this lower, but it would probably still be true. Above ETH, above everything, I would probably choose Doge. I think it has, if Elon abandons it, it probably isn't great for it, but I think it probably has the most potential for high-level catalysts to drive price higher. You're going to see a spaceship that's shaped like a doggo going to Mars. I think the best resource for Elliott Wave education is X-Force Global on Twitter. If you go to it, he has a huge series on it on his TradingView account. So there's a link in his Twitter bio. Just be prepared that it's kind of a multi-year endeavor to learn Elliott Wave. To be fair, this all looks kind of a little bad, but it looks like price could go lower easily, but I think I would lean towards something holding up here. Some little lows here. So funny. I remember when price was here. what's really funny is that when price was here, it was so bullish, right? I mean, it was like Doge was just going straight up, straight up. It's like no pullback, no pullback, and it is just kind of funny, the psychology of the charts. It's like, oh my god, I wish I'd long Doge if it could just pull back. Oh my god, oh my god. Like there was probably people looking to long something this whole way up. But now price is back here. And it's like, Doge sucks. Is this like let's just forget. Let's just kind of forget some of the things we know about anything, market structure. Like kind of who cares? Like price is revisiting this low. It's just, I think the brain, the kind of way that like the brain wants to analyze things is one based on how they've traded it. So, you know, if you went all in up here and then you added, you're gonna feel a lot different than if you shorted the Pico top and this is your TP and you're flipping long, right? Like your whole perspective is gonna change. But price can either go up or down, and I think what kind of like the default position that happens in people's brains is if price is going up and it keeps going up and it keeps going up, it's going to keep going up. And if price is going down and it keeps going down and it keeps going down, it's going to keep going down. But that's not, you only get so many keeps in there, right? Like it can price can go down and keep going down and keep going down. But if you start adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more keep going downs onto there, that's not really how price moves. But you kind of are in the danger of trading that way, right? Like price is going up, it keeps going up, it keeps going up, it keeps going up, it keeps going up, it's going to keep going up and keep going up and keep going up. And you don't really develop your thesis until here. Like, oh, maybe Doge isn't bearish, maybe it's super bullish, or maybe Doge isn't bullish, maybe it's super bearish. I will say this though. Generally speaking, like when, you know, like when people, I don't mind like explaining the ideas of my trades and why I'm positioning the way I am and why I'm sizing or invalidating them a certain way. But yeah, generally speaking, I do not care. I actually do not care what anyone else thinks, what anyone else is doing in terms of the trades I'm interested in taking. I mean, I just don't care. I don't even care if they work or not. I don't know if they're going to work. I don't want to know. I don't need to know. I can't know. Like there's almost as, I'd say there's like a 95% chance I end up in this long if price comes down. The only way I'm not is if there's nothing. If price literally starts from here, goes straight down in a 1 minute candle through the level, then I'm not in the trade. After I'm in the trade, I'm just gonna let it play out. I don't care if it works or not. I'm gonna be in that trade because I don't care about this trade. I care about being in this type of trade, not this trade specifically. But when range is consolidating, something like this would be nasty. By the way, like if we put this over the like not a wick through the level. not going to be a perfect fractal. I'm just want to talk about it from a timing perspective. Let's just put it here. Just this being the significant low. If we spent a week or 2 weeks down here, have something like this, rejection. Like if we do this here, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm probably playing the quick move variation. I mean, I basically round tripped. I got a little bit off of Bitcoin here, but I basically round tripped and stopped all of my trades the last week and a half. All my long trades. But even so, I don't really think of it as a, in this case, I don't really think of it as an error. Like, it's not that I couldn't have done anything different. I mean, I'm sure I could have, but I'm just trying to pull up coin request here. I just need to, it's not that I couldn't have done anything different, but the whole plan, the only reason I was taking this long trade here, and I took that on a live stream several live streams ago, was as a swing idea. And I could have probably looked at some head short ideas up at the highs and whatever. But as far as the longs go, I was willing to play those as swings to all-time highs, and if they didn't work, I'd just trade another setup lower. It's certainly a double-edged sword. I've given this example on XRP, which is I took swing longs on XRP down here, and I took multiple longs up into this uptrend, targeting this big move. But I also round-tripped a pretty significant position swing longing here as well. So I was swing longing this to all-time highs, and I round tripped that position, and then I re-entered. And so it's easy to talk about, why didn't you just close the position at the top of the range? Why are you targeting this big move? And I think there was a couple similar positions on Doge in here as well. But at the same time, I also Pico bottomed Doge and longed all into this uptrend, targeting this big move. So it's a double-edged sword, right? You catch the multi-100% move, but sometimes you're going to round trip a position. I mean, it feels bad in the time it doesn't work, and you're like, I never want to let that happen again. But from the way I look at it is, there's just no way to know. There's no way to know if your trade's going to work. And on a swing trade, if you're going to tell me that you're going to take 100 swing trades targeting, 50, 60, 70, 100 R setups for big moves like this, and you're just going to hit all 100 of them, no, it's impossible. You're going to have some of those trades run significantly away from you and come back. It's just because price, even in these contexts, price pretty much went up in a straight line, but But generally speaking, price is going to have retracements. It's going to have consolidation. If you have a bunch of low time frame exit triggers on all your swing trades, you'll literally never hold a swing trade. And so, for the same reason I round tripped this setup on a long, I held and added to this one. So, whatever. It's a double-edged sword. And it's kind of like on this setup on Bitcoin, you know, for the same reason that I'm round tripping it, I would have been in it if it had worked and not closed the whole thing at the highs. And for every one time that setup works the way that I was trading it, it pays for many times over the time it doesn't. But I think the reason people kind of get stuck in their trading, especially when it comes to swing trading, is a single event happens, and they say, I'm never doing that again, you know. And so they'll never hold a swing trade because their whole strategy now has become not swing trading, but to avoid the pain of ever round tripping a trade. I mean, this trade, I'm targeting new all-time highs. And I know, whatever, we bounce here, this starts happening, and maybe at some point we're going to take these highs, and it's going to be the GP, and there's nothing wrong with taking profits there. But if I'm taking profits there, I'm just looking to add back into the trade. But anyways, I just know all these levels are going to play again towards all-time highs, and at any given moment it's going to be like, oh fuck, I should just get out of this trade, but yeah, the best way to explain it is, you know, with an almost certainty that in any of the scenarios that price does run to a new all-time high from here, to a significant all-time high, it's not going to go in a straight line, and it's never going to look like that you aren't getting a rejection, and you might round trip your trade. There's basically no scenario where. So putting it that way, it's to say that if depending on what your strategy is with a swing position like that. Now taking profits, adding back, when structure breaks, on retracements, hedging, I think that's all great, but just the overall idea, if you're just taking the trade, but you're going to close if this reacts, you're going to close if price doesn't immediately break out of this, or if this gets retested, you're just never being a swing trade. Your strategy is to say that if any of the things that always happen, I'm closing my trade. That's great to hear, Ivan. Ivan just says thank you. He's learned a lot. Not a paid member, but learning a effing lot even from your free stuff. Keep smashing. Thank you. Maxim says, wowza, this was a fun event to return to from a long haul flight. Hopefully you had a good flight. Citizen says stop loss to break even can stop the trip from the start too. No need to round trip. True. You get a little move away from your position, you just instantly stop it at break even, and then it goes without you, and you don't even have to worry about it. I'm not even looking at Trump while it's breaking down here. It's got literally no reaction at the range of lows. Oh yeah, someone wanted me to look at INJ. I think this is kind of important on INJ probably, but log scale. I mean, it kind of looks bad. This was a major target when we were up at the highs here. Is this just Doge? Not quite. Put in the initial impulse, a new high. The difference is this was lower highs, this was higher highs. Yeah. Anyways, this long major target came up, took some major highs. I was asked about INJ here. I wanted to come back down and retest these lows. But frankly, there's no structure here. I mean, this kind of looks like it's on its way. But personally, I would just be saying, like, I'm not going to spend too much time on INJ here, other than to say a shift in market structure, or just looking for these lows to come. I mean, I'm going to send an alert down there. Like, you got to start breaking out of all of this. But all critical structure is kind of going here, so all looks kind of a little bearish. Maybe $6 on the way. Maxim says, not gonna lie, pre-LATF I would have gotten absolutely LATF. LATF is the name of the Discord, by the way. It's the Lucky Apes trading floor. He says, pre-LATF I would have gotten wrecked on this. Glad to report that I've been sidelined, apart from 2 shorts I'm holding. Eternally grateful for the horned sheep emoji, the goat. Great. Can't complain about that. Yeah, I'm kind of chilling on the live stream because this intersection so tight. It kind of feels like we could just get this quick move. I mean, to be fair, there's probably not a lot I'm gonna have to say other than I'm just taking the long. I'm just taking it off the scenario of, all right, we've taken all the lows, we've tapped the level. You know, is there going to be a question whether or not there's going to be a ton of delta, a ton of volume, tons of stops? No. We already know that's going to be the case. Just kind of entering in on any reaction, size for invalidation down here, and just basically crossing your fingers and hoping that it's a V-shaped recovery. It's just the type of move that you're trading or setup you're trading around. And then if this starts happening and gets stopped out, I mean, I may have to just be looking for a new position somewhere else. But this is a specific type of trade, the quick V-shaped recovery type setup. All right, give me. I'm gonna stay live, but give me a few minutes. I'm gonna go do my meditation, stretch, do some jumping jacks, and I'll be back in a couple minutes. All right, I'm back. No, I did not take any longs. Looking for this. I mean, kind of can run down to like 81k even. Hopefully chasing something up, but I kind of have to take this as well. Probably want to be long off anything in there. That is hilarious. Someone commented horn sheep with the exact same crying emoji, and then you comment horn sheep with the exact same crying emoji. Yeah, there's some levels down towards 70, 72, 73. I wouldn't mind 66. Take this low or test this low. Structurally, it's sort of our only. I mean, you could say maybe a clean retest of the old range highs, but I prefer this. There's a GP there, just into this pivot low to this point of control. On the deeper move scenario, then you're dealing with all of this. It is interesting though. I mean, this trade, it's kind of, you're just sort of in this scenario where you're certainly price can just break down. Like there's two core groups of people right now, and I think those groups are the type of people that are looking to long something like this, taking all these lows, and the types of people who have all their stops sitting there, and that's the end for them. That's like, okay, it's confirmed, you know, all of the structure's broken down, the uptrend's over. I think a lot of people. But yeah, I guess from my perspective, if you're not, well, I have to be willing. I mean, I've been interested in this long setup. I mean, I think this is where the opportunities are. If you have no interest in longs down here, I think that's kind of a misplay. It doesn't mean they have to work, but it is just so. It's so unbelievable how much better how much better, like, if I just went with the actual numbers of some of my analysis back here, like I did a whole analysis on ETH and Bitcoin when Bitcoin was here, and I said, like, literally the post on Twitter was showing the ETH chart with the Bitcoin chart and saying it's not so hard to imagine a scenario where we push up to something like 110k on Bitcoin and then rotate back down to 85k, and well, Bitcoin does that, ETH rotates all the way back down to 2k. Just kind of funny. That's actually exactly what happened. Like no internal structure, nothing here other than just the beginnings of an impulse. So almost the exact level to level analysis there. The question here would just be how far, like, price wicks below this level. Do we just tag these lows for the quick scenario? Is it just a quick tag and recovery? Do we run deeper into these lows? You know, I would love to get something like this. Like, we used to have a lot more lows that look like, see how these just like straight down and then straight up. We used to have a lot more lows that look like this. Let me find the old paradigm for how every low used to form. Put on the 1 hour here. We kind of get this, a little range, and then come tag the lows, a little range, then come tag the lows. I think it was actually happened a lot more back here. Back in these old days, 2022, 2021. Like this used to be like the breakdown, this, come tag all these lows, and then impulse to the upside. This used to be like the standard kind of bottom. Yeah, back here is a much better example. Price breaks down, tags all the lows, and you kind of have this little double bottom, and then impulses. Breaks down. That would be kind of nice. That used to be kind of the... This one didn't take the low there. Just used to happen all the time. But at some point, price just started V-shaping more often at major lows. I know there's a ton more examples from back here. I'm not gonna go into them all. I know there's a hotkey just to return to the current price, but somehow I have it unbound. That's like this. Bring back those lows. Yeah, so someone says, I think whether it is a powerful reversal or not, that will be the level where the decision is made. Yeah, I think it's a pretty decisive level. There's a few different ways that price can play out around it. It doesn't have to go straight up or straight down, but all this structure is probably pretty important. Something to be said, like, it's kind of funny, like this long setup, there's two ways to look at it. You could look at it as like, oh, you took the long and then price went straight down, you get stopped out, and it's like you longed right before a major leg down, and it can feel like, oh, I've made a huge mistake, I was completely wrong. But it's not, that's not how I like to look at setups like this. It's like, you're wrong when price breaks down, which is why you have a stop loss. It's like a critical moment. And it's sort of like, if you want to talk about the asymmetric risk reward idea, it's sort of like you're either going to print a Pico bottom long towards all-time highs, like this. It's not as simple as that. There's probably other scenarios, or you're just going to instantly take your 1 hour stop. But that's what makes it a great setup, in my view. It's like, the structure is so well defined. It's important, and you're trading around it because it's important, and putting the stop on there and putting the risk on there makes a lot of sense. It's not about whether or not price bounces or not. It's just you're either going to be printing a make it all back in one massive trade, or you're going to be taking another stop. And not every moment on the chart is that way. Someone says, right, but on a long run of those trades, it hurts, of course. I mean, I've taken some stops and I round tripped and took some stops on Doge, but I was also willing to play some of those bullish scenarios with 0.5 R risk, right? It's like, hey, I can trade around some of these local bullish ideas, if I'm going to put on some risk. I mean, I gave my exact thesis, which was I like the idea of coming down towards this 85K level on Bitcoin. I think the bullish ideas without doing that are legitimate. They're valid, particularly if this holds up, and if this breaks down, this is probably coming. But I'd maybe pick a couple alts that I'm more bullish on and look to put on a little bit of risk. That's it. I can always add higher, add on new setups. I could put on a little bit of risk here, 0.5 R risk. And if it doesn't work, I'll just be trading lower, I guess. I mean, I'll just say, like, you can kind of say it hurts, but let's just say you're risking 1% per setup here, and it's a little oversimplified, but you're basically just trading every single one of these levels. I mean, you just are happy to take all of these stops. You lose 3%. Every trade with wider stops, 5 to 7% stops, 10% stops, is a 10R plus trade, right? Oh, beautiful. You can just double click down here and it returns you to the current price. Somebody just commented. Maybe I didn't unbind the hotkey. Maybe they just removed it. Thoughts on connecting all the tops from March 2021 and December 2021 and the recent high on March 20. The recent high at 110,000. If this is what you mean. I don't really see anything there, but yeah, I thought it was Alt-R as well. I actually haven't tried in a little while, but yeah, it doesn't work. I unbound it somehow. like if for me on Doge, I'm still trading towards the same idea I was trading down here, and I want to put on more risk, right? Taking stops, but I did super well on this section of the chart. So looking for a correction. I'm willing just to put on some risk and play the retracements. I might be just chasing in on a couple alts along with Bitcoin if these lows get taken. This is not changing to regular scale here. There we go. It may be the play here to end the live stream and just restart it when those lows are approaching or towards the New York Open. I think it could, this level could come quickly, but quickly could still be several hours away. I mean, right at the New York Open would be beautiful. Is 50 cents still valid on FET is a question. You know, one thing that's just unfortunate is a lot of my alerts and analysis have been deleted on TradingView. I don't know why. Yeah, it's 50 cents still valid. The best way to answer these questions is just it's an important level. It's just like Bitcoin. It's like the range lows. It's like tagging this low and holding it up. It's the type of level wouldn't be surprised to see a nice bounce from. And if anyone's wondering, 50 cents is just a level I've been talking about on FET for a long time, since the all-time highs. Got a nice GP there on log scale. It's very similar to the INJ setup the first time it hit 14 cents. But the way I view, I'm not even going to show the INJ, it doesn't matter. You guys get the idea. The way I view this is just, it's a nice level to trade around on the higher time frames, right? You come up, or you come down, and the trade's just defined for you. You tag that low. Tag these lows into the GP. Let me get rid of this. And it's not whether or not the level's valid or not. It's just, does it hold or not? Like just run that low. Target back up towards these highs. Or even potentially all-time high. It's 575% away. But again, you gotta watch all the lower high structure, but it's a swing type level, right? It's a swing trade type level. Major low in the context of this move to come retest. You know what? I will just show the INJ setup. I just look at it as somewhere to put on some risk. well defined. My computer's like lagging, like my mouse is like jumping around. It's super annoying. It's essentially this setup. The first time we tagged this level on INJ, so I'll just say like what my general perspective is on ideas like this. This is on log scale, by the way. So, price obviously was really strong on INJ. This impulse from this low is like 290%. And coming back down and retesting the origin of this impulse into this local GP is a level, an idea I really liked on INJ. And typically, it's not so different than the Pepe idea either, right? You have no structure here. Maybe you range a little bit, and you just come down and retest, run this entire impulse back. It's just a nice, clean idea. We got a nice bounce off of there of 130%. It's the same thing on INJ. If this goes, then it's not holding up, and you're kind of out of that trade, right? It's just a nice place to look to put on some risk, in my view. There were some pretty clean ideas on. Man, I took so much abuse off of that idea on FET as well. There were some pretty clean ideas at the highs on FET. Wasn't a perfect channel, but it was pretty damn close. But if you lose that, then these lows become targets. But yeah, so generally the way I think about it is it's kind of like if we're not breaking down this low, and if we're running it and holding up this level, the idea would be that, I want to be long if we're holding this up, and I want to cut it if we're not. It's as simple as that. And I'm going to size appropriately for that decision process. And looking at it as more of a high time frame level, maybe form a range out of here, targeting some of these highs, and keeping it simple in that sense, but just accepting price can break down. But yeah, same thing on Pepe. Just coming in, retracing, referring to the idea up here of breaking this down and just retracing this whole impulse into this low. Just a major idea. It's down 75% from all-time highs. Personally, I would like to see Pepe come all the way back into this impulse eventually. But whether we come straight there or we get some bounces and form a downtrend. But I actually think it's I don't know if I'd say high probability. To me it looks all right that eventually we're heading back down to these lows on Pepe. It's just whether we do or not, just a good reminder. Price is down 72%. If this level came, it's another 90%, right? So this is back to our February 24 low. For some reason, that is impossible to some people. Got a lot of structure here, the breakdown though. But we've broken down the trending structure, some horizontal levels here. I mean, this looks like shit, honestly. This looks like I shouldn't have closed this short at all. Should have just held it. Might end up having to find another short somewhere in there. I see what you guys are saying. Hold on. Oh, my analysis is back. These tabs got... Yeah, these tabs got moved to the wrong layout. Whoa, I have levels on my charts again. That's kind of nice. Looks like I was doing some fart coin analysis. I have a clean SR flip there. Local GP. Come take these lows. Maybe, maybe. Which trades do I have the most conviction in? I don't even know. I have a lot of interest in logging this range low on Bitcoin. I mean, do I have conviction? It's hard to have conviction in the trade because the level hasn't even come yet. But I know it's a trade I'm really interested in, and probably gonna chase some alts long term. I have the most conviction. I would say it like this. Like, I think I'm more convinced that something like Doge or XRP is eventually heading towards all-time highs again than I do a lot of other coins, like Pepe, for example. I could be completely wrong, but all that means is I'm more interested in long setups. I'm not just willy-nilly discounting that there's bearish scenarios, but I'm more interested in taking aggressive long setups on some of those coins because I think I'm more likely to be rewarded for it. Yeah, nice call on the wrong layout there, which is why I had nothing on my chart. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm staying live here. If we break down, because this level could come really quick. Again, there's probably not going to be a whole lot for me to say, other than price either nukes the level or it doesn't, and I'm taking the long if it doesn't, and if we bounce and then we break down, then I'm taking a stop. This is a region for me. I like the clean trend line idea, but should update the members Discord briefly, quickly. Kind of 85K on the dot there. I'm actually going to take a piss really quick because I got to pee, and now's probably the time to do it. The chart had its chance to sideline me. Could have done it there, but I'm too quick. Too quick. A little bit of bearish absorption here as well. Some longs opening here. CVD making higher highs. Some shorts closing. Limit orders pressing price down. Kind of know the levels at about 85K. You can watch on order flow. What do you guys prefer? Do you prefer to see order flow on the screen or the trading view chart? By the way, I'm probably not going to update everything that I'm trading. It's just too much here, but we'll keep an eye on Bitcoin. Yeah, let's go to 1 minute order flow. At least on this pairing. Um, yeah, everyone wants order flow. Okay. This, someone says, what's this dashboard and is it free? This is called Exo Charts and it is not free. I I actually they changed the price. I think it's 50 euros a month or something, or 40 or 50. But there's other order flow softwares. Addis is free. 60 euros a month. Trading Views, I haven't actually looked at it in a while, but Trading Views trying to add footprint charts. They haven't been particularly accurate. They have like a beta running with them. Maybe they're better now. I haven't looked. Probably something happening in the order flow, but we won't know for another couple seconds. Oof. So, kind of not so surprising to see a big reaction there. Some bearish divergences forming locally here. In this 1 minute candle, you have a 100 million delta. Big long stopped out. Some chasing back in. But for me, I'm not surprised to see some of this volatility even in the downtrending scenarios. I mean, this is why downtrends can get kind of choppy, right? Is there scenarios where we don't take the 85K low? Absolutely. So laggy. I might have to close something or something. My computer's literally